This is Sideco with TIRIAscast. I'm here with Rajat. He's one of the VPs of the Automotive Business Unit at CES 2025 with Qualcomm, where they're showing us, one of the fruits of the collaborations that they've had with BMW over the last few years, really showing kind of the maturity of some of these, ADAS solutions that you guys have been working on. So maybe Rajat, before we get into the vehicle, you can kind of just give us a little bit of context on the setup that you guys have with the vehicle.
Thank you, Francis. So what you see here is a BMW car, BMW Development car. So this car is used by Qualcomm and BMW teams jointly for development of the stack that we are collaborating on. The car is fitted with multiple radars and cameras around the car, 5 cameras, 5 radars to be precise, and is targeting what we name as the ride mid-tier system. And what we are showing here really is the fruits of collaboration, what teams have developed. So over the last year and a half, now this car has completely moved. This car is using the Qualcomm stack, Qualcomm and BMW stack for autonomous driving. On the road, we will be showing level 2 plus capabilities with hands-off features, autonomous lane changes, and that's all built on Qualcomm perception and Qualcomm BMW stack that's built together.
Yeah, and it's probably worth saying too that what that does is it just kind of shows parity from maybe what BMW had been able to do with other solutions before. But it's worth saying that obviously there's a lot more capability that's going to be hitting the road even with this solution that we can't see yet. Right?
Yeah, like I said, this is really the development car. So the goal here was to show, in full transparency what a development car looks like, what the status of the development is. It's quite operational, already feature parity with all the current implemented features in a BMW level 2 system. There are much more features, but as the OEM goes towards the SOP, we can't show all the features at the moment, but we will be showing you some of the advanced capabilities of Qualcomm perception stack, as well as some of the driving features that are here mature.
And when I look at these, I've seen a lot of kind of autonomous driving demos and things like that. When I look at this reference design car, it looks like a regular car. It doesn't have all the kind of weird things hanging off of it that you see even at this show this year. I've seen in other demos where you still have a lot of it is very fully integrated already into almost like a road-ready vehicle.
And Rajat, that's the key point. So what we are showing here is a car which is going towards SOP. So the ECU, the system in the car, is a production intent box. The sensors are qualified. The stack that is running in the car is a development branch. So this is not a demo proof of concept.
Yeah.
This is really a development snapshot of a production system.
Yeah, and I don't know, have you guys announced when these are going to be hitting the road? Cars that are based on solutions like this?
Well, the solution, the RIDE platform is available for customers to start their development on. The stack is available for SOP in 2025. And that's what we are supporting our active customers on.
So for people that don't understand maybe the typical timelines from SOP to then hitting the road in a production vehicle, that's probably what, roughly about, if it's 2025, we'll probably see some cars based on this in 2026.
Yes, and
or potentially 27.
And look, it's very much dependent on OEM timelines.
Yeah.
What Qualcomm is providing is a qualified stack. The stack is globally qualified in more than 60 countries.
That's great.
So as it hits the SOP, depending upon the OEM requirements, replicating that is the time that it typically takes for an OEM to launch. And if it's close to the same feature set, it can be done very, very fast.
And frankly, in the world of automotive, that certification in 60 countries, that's really the long pole in the tent. Once you get that done, I mean, you can pretty much hit the ground running, pun intended.
Absolutely, and see, that's one key difference between showing a demo in one environment in one city versus qualifying a stack across the globe in all all continents, in all the major markets. It takes a lot of work.
Perfect. Well, let's without further ado, let's get in the vehicle and see what you guys can do.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're in the vehicle now. We've got the big display screen, and we're just going to kind of let Rajat and our driver here kind of get us out of the parking structure or parking area, because they can't go autonomous or hands-free while we're in the property of the hotel for various reasons. But once we get out into the streets of Las Vegas, let's put on our seatbelts. Perfect.
Is it recording?
We can stop it.
Because I wanted to just describe the
Go ahead.
Do you want me to do that before I start driving?
Well, yeah. Okay. So all I wanted to say is, look, as you can see, this is using a near finished product.
Yeah.
This is the current BMW model that is being used as a development car. But as you can see, it also has this development screen, which is primarily used for debugs and logs and some of the development activities. So what you will see on the road are customer functions which are close to maturity. We'll show some of them, and what you see in the screen here is a visualization of the front computer vision stack. There are multiple cameras on this car, so multiple cameras are running the perception stack, but for simplification we are only showing one. But the main focus for the demo is going to be on some of the custom functions.
Perfect.
So this front computer vision stack is using the forward 8 megapixel wide camera, and what you see here is just some of the classes that we have enabled for visualization. This does not show full capabilities of the stack because that becomes too cluttered, so this is just simplified for demo purpose. But and I think some of those signs will come back again, but you will see lanes, objects.
Yeah, you can see kind of the lane divider showing up there.
You will see curb signs.
Yeah.
You will also see traffic lights, stop signs, traffic signs. So the basics are what are visualized, but the stack is actually running much more feature sets, including many more
you can see it
tasks.
picking up the lanes and the lights, stop signs. Perfect. So, and this is all camera based. Does it stitch together information from other sensing capabilities like radar and LiDAR as well?
So in this particular implementation, we are only using cameras and radars.
Yeah,
and
sure.
yes, in the stack, it does stitch all the functionality, it does fuse it. This particular screen is only showing you the forward, but in the consumption of the stack, it uses the cameras and radar sensor fusion for doing the processing.
Perfect. Yeah, so let us know once you go kind of hands free here.
I think one thing to note here is the performance of the computer vision. Again, this is like a development snapshot, but you can see the stability of the lanes in night, especially in these roads where the lane markers are not perfect. The stack is able to perform quite well.
Yeah.
I guess just to input as well, we have been driving with the system active since the previous red light. You can, from the back seat, see some of the icons that are on the cluster here. So we have a steering wheel, which is indicating we have lane keeping abilities, and on the left side, that's indicating that depending on the situation, the icon will change So right now, since we don't have a lead vehicle, we're following our set speed of 25. Once we get a vehicle in front of us, you'll see kind of an icon that pops up to indicate to the driver that we will stop for, or we'll follow vehicles. I don't know if you could also see, as we were coming to this red light, we have the capability of detecting the status of a red light, and a driver can then confirm that they want to stop at that red light, and the vehicle was actually able to brake by itself to this point.
How does the driver confirm that, or does it require driver kind of interaction, or will the car just? Can the driver just say, "Yeah, do what you need to do," and it'll just do it?
So in this situation, we would have to do a button confirmation.
Okay.
So you'll get prompted on the dashboard that the vehicle sees the status of the red light. You would then click a button, and then the vehicle would then bring itself to a stop. However, you do have to be the first one at the red light. So if we had a car in front of us, we would brake automatically for the car. But for the red lights, at the moment, we are, it's a driver confirmation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And then something else you'll see here as we go through the intersection is we'll actually limit our longitudinal speed to based off of the road geometry. So once the light turns green here, we start to go through the intersection, and you'll see it at other points throughout the route. We'll actually adapt our speed for a more comfortable drive for the driver to handle these tight geometries.
Is the car changing that speed, or
Yeah,
the
car-
driver is doing
The
it?
stack is changing that speed. So
Okay.
what he's explaining is that based on the road geometries and the environment outside, the car does automatic speed adaptation for a more naturalistic driving experience.
So when you say environment outside, are you looking at not just traffic patterns, but also like road conditions, like whether it's wet or
So-
snowy or whatever?
That's right. So it
Yeah.
looks at road geometry, it looks at road conditions, it also looks at the traffic pattern outside to then determine the naturalistic speed and driving behavior.
That's great to hear, because we all heard about all those horror stories of where the autonomous driving was only basing it off of like speed limit signs, but it doesn't take into account the fact that it's like snowing outside, so you don't want to be going 65 miles an hour when it's snowing outside, right?
And look, absolutely. And one of the goal of the development is to ensure that driver experience is maximized, it's
Yeah.
front and center.
Yeah.
And to do that, the quality of the features that are being delivered and developed is highly important to us and our partner. And that's some of that is what you see in the implementation.
So while we're doing, I think you mentioned earlier, the system is actually active right now. We're still kind of driving it with like when you have your hands on the wheel there, are you actively steering, or you kind of just have your hands there as a guide, just so you kind of be ready in case you need to?
I mean, his hands are on the wheel only because of the safety driver requirement at the moment in the development car. So the hands are there for that reason.
Okay.
But you can see that the stack detects all the traffic lights. The
Yeah.
stack detects the environments on the cars, the crossings, and so on. So it can account for this environment to do stop and go and drive on its own. But what is implemented typically depends on safety approach.
So the acceleration right now, is it the vehicle that's doing that, or is it the driver that's
The
doing
vehicle.
that? The vehicle's doing that. Okay.
The vehicle has
And the vehicle's doing the
autonomous
turning
mode
as well?
all
Okay.
this while.
Perfect.
And the only thing the driver has been doing is just to keep the hands
Yeah.
for safety reasons.
Yeah, we don't want to give these LV Metro guys a heart attack when they don't see your hands on there. They already had a hard time during New Year's Eve parties, so we'll give them a break.
So I think one more thing I want to note is the traffic lights. So
Mhm.
the stack detects them quite well, does lane association, so it knows which traffic light is in which lane.
Okay.
So, and that's a very important information
Yeah.
as the use case scales
Yeah.
beyond just the highway.
Yeah. Well, absolutely, because even sometimes when you have some of these right turn lanes, you actually have two different stoplights for the rightmost turn lane versus the outside right turn lane, where you can go on red if you want to, if it's on the inside, things like that. How would the system deal with something like that, where you're allowed to go on red, like when you're making a right turn?
So there are two parts to that. First part is from perception. Is the stack able to detect the information that it's a right lane, it's a red sign, and that I think you can even see do here.
Okay.
The second part is the planner, the drive planner, which then plans what to do with this information and how to process it. So Qualcomm Ride platform implements an AI-based planning approach, and the planner scales to urban use cases as well. And we are not showing that in this car because this was a highway-focused demo, but urban implementations are also available.
Okay, very cool.
Okay, so from the back seat, I'm not sure if you can see this still, but I now have a message on my cluster that says Assistant Plus Ready. So this means I can actually take my hands off of the steering wheel.
Okay.
And the vehicle's in a safe mode to continue driving.
What criteria is typically involved in getting into that mode?
So we have to be on a protected highway. I think the customer ultimately has the safety cases that are important to them.
Okay.
Safety cases are very, very customer specific.
Okay.
And depending upon the various vehicle care-abouts and safety case, choices can be made.
Okay, so it's programmable by the OEM.
It is a very OEM specific implementation. There is no fundamental limitation of the stack to increase the speed or.
So with capability that's actually less than this, if you go back to just kind of adaptive cruise control, you can set kind of what distance the driver is comfortable with in terms of how much to slow down and so forth. With this kind of capability, which is obviously a lot more advanced, is there a similar driver choice on, hey, I'm only comfortable if I'm going to go autonomous, I want to be at least at speed 3 to 4 seconds away from the vehicle in front of me, if not slow down? Or is that all set in the safety cases by the OEM?
No, it's very configurable, but the overall HMI and the overall feeling is a very customer specific aspect. You can, and I think you said something interesting, like a lot of use cases implement active cruise control, but the implementation details on how it's implemented, how naturalistic is the braking and acceleration, how is naturally it's handling high curvature roads, is where the difference comes in the driver experience. And that's hopefully what you can feel in the driving that he's been doing. I think since we started, it's been in autonomous mode, and it feels quite natural.
Yeah, and to kind of take that idea a little bit more, right? You've got the kind of the safety situation, but then you have some driver preferences too, where some drivers like to accelerate and brake in a more gentle manner versus more aggressive manner. Is that something that the OEMs are able to extend out to the driver as a preference and saying, hey, how smooth do you want these, stop and go transitions?
Look, the stack is definitely capable and configurable for many of these aspects. So it ends up becoming a choice for
By
the
the
OEMs,
yeah.
which they have to then offer and validate in the different cars
Yeah.
that they do. And but I see your point, and I think personalization towards a driver is quite interesting.
Well, that could even be something, I think, that it could be tiered. And this is something I've noticed that you and I, we all travel a lot, right? So we've gone into a lot of rental cars and things like that. And even with cruise control, I've noticed that the higher end cars have a smoother ability to maintain speed at cruise control versus the lower end cars, where in the lower end cars there's a lot more dynamic play. Let's say you set it at like 70 miles an hour. Sometimes the lower end cars have like a plus or minus 5 mile per hour window, where like the higher end cars are a lot more fine, where it's maybe a plus or minus 1 mile per hour window in the algorithm, and it's a lot smoother of a kind of autonomy, I guess.
No, absolutely. And look, underneath, it also depends on what technologies are being used to implement these features. In Qualcomm perception and stack, we use a lot of AI-based approach for predicting the road, predicting the lanes, so that allows us to predict the lanes even if there are challenges in visibility. The ride SoCs offer a lot of compute performance and AI performance and math processing abilities. So this enables much higher processing capabilities for the planner function and the drive function to then offer a better experience.
What are those AI predictions based on? I assume there's some kind of automotive. I assume there's an automotive grade model that had been trained that's certified for use in automotive mission critical situations.
The stack is automotive grade. It's certified with the required safety levels.
No, but in terms of the actual AI model that's doing the prediction.
So the AI model is actually part of the stack.
Okay.
And as an example of that is this computer vision stack.
Yeah.
So this computer vision stack is based on advanced AI approaches.
Sure.
And advanced network architectures. Modern network architectures. So when we start with designing the architecture, the principle is to design it with a safety first approach, right? So the architecture ensures that it can comply to the safety requirements and automotive grade point that you mentioned, and the training of that is then the usual process of data-driven development, where a lot of data is then used and mined to train the corner cases, to make the AI network more and more robust across all conditions. This also goes back into the discussion point we did, like validating these across worldwide, more than 60 countries, also is an aspect of hardening the models in the stack.
So obviously you've got the stack and the SoCs and the ECU that controls all of it, but obviously this is all part of a larger system of cameras and sensors and LiDAR and stuff like that. Now, Qualcomm, as far as I know, don't make cameras and LiDAR and radar. Do you have preferred partners that, as part of your reference design, that you say, look, we know we've worked with these camera manufacturers, these LiDAR manufacturers, we know we get the level of quality of information that we need. What's that ecosystem look like when it comes to that part?
So first of all, we have a high control on the specifications of these sensors. customers can expect, is to get the right system with a choice of qualified sensors.
Okay.
That they can onboard and build their systems.
And who, since it is an open ecosystem, but you do have the guidelines of the specifications, at the end of the day, who makes a decision to put it together? I assume it's the OEMs as they're designing the system, right?
So the guidelines, Qualcomm puts together the guidelines, the Qualcomm Intelligence partner put together the guidelines for development. That's what is offered to our tier 1 partners and OEM customers as input to designing their systems. And we do allow for customization ability. So OEMs can take these guidelines and there are changes to be made. Some of those changes are already within the boundary conditions of what we allow, so it's okay. And there are more than that, then refinements can be done.
So one thing that I just noticed as we were driving, I mean, usually these kinds of autonomous capabilities, they require you to enter a destination so that, and then you get a route, and then that's what the car drives, right? In the situation of this this demo drive, we're going in a loop where the destination is back where we started, right? But you wanted to take a specific route. How were you able to tell the car, as it's driving itself, what route you wanted to go, or was there some, kind of driver input as we were going? Hey, I want to make a right at this particular juncture.
Well, the stack would work on all public roads because it's
sure.
As long as the conditions are met.
Yeah.
As in the lanes are visible and
Yeah.
basics are covered. So what we are showing here is the drive capabilities using those features. Address to address is typically an adder on the top that is implemented, and that's not part of this demonstration.
Okay, so no, but as far as how we were driving, the car was driving itself, right? So I guess it's going to keep going until, and then there's some driver input that says, hey, I want to exit here, I want to turn here.
The exits were driver
input. Okay, and then once you get where you're on the road that you want, and the system goes back on. Okay, perfect. So we're heading back into the W parking lot here, and the driver has taken back control of the vehicle because the hotel doesn't like us going autonomous while we're on property. But so we're back. Rajat, thank you so much. And I didn't get our driver's name, but thank you for taking care of us.
Robert, nice to meet you.
Thanks,
guys.
Robert. Nice to meet you. This has been extremely impressive. Not only the capabilities, but again the level of production-ready integration that you see here, where it's not longer looking like a science fair project that people kludged together, with racks hanging out the outside and so forth. So looking forward to seeing what comes out of both BMW and Qualcomm.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rajat. Thank you. This is just a quick walk around of the vehicle from the outside to show the level of maturity and integration of the sensors on the vehicle. So when you compare it even to some of the Waymo taxis that are out on the streets today, you don't see the overhead racks with all the different sensors. You see pretty much the sensors here fully integrated into the body of the vehicle in about as streamlined of a way as I've seen, at least to date.